So how do you say
very big.
work-life balance when work is part of your life? It's bullshit. They're putting it in opposition when they say it usually. Like work or life.
Yeah.
Which one do you want?
Yeah. Hi everyone, welcome back to A New Day and You're Sure. I'm Angely and I'm joined here with Jason DeFranco.
That had to be me.
How are you doing today, Jason?
Today I'm really good.
Good.
Tonight's our big party.
It is.
Yep.
Celebrating 10 years in December, so we've had a lot going on. And we rented out Planet Obstacle for the whole lab and their family. I'm so sore. I don't know how I did upper arms the other day and
Okay. So you're probably going to fall off the upper obstacle course.
yeah.
halfway through. That's okay. I did last year.
You know, content, check it out later. That's okay.
We'll get it on video.
We'll get it on video and we'll insert. It'll be in the website.
Yeah.
There you go. So speaking about things that we have to do outside of work. All right. We're going to talk about having a work-life balance. This is a very specific topic. I think everyone has different meanings on what that balance entails. I'm going to ask Kali. Kali, what do you think a work-life balance is?
Okay, well, my definition of work-life balance is, well, you go to work for a certain number of hours, and then you come home to have your free time, your personal time. I like separating work from hobbies. I don't like monetizing my hobbies. It makes me hate my hobbies. Not saying I hate my work either, but the main reason why I enjoy my work is because I have some free time to myself.
All right. Jason, I know you feel...
It's great. I totally believe in work-life balance. Spend half your time at work and half your time at home. That's balance, right?
yeah.
I hate it because everybody defines it differently. Two people say work-life balance and they both nod at each other, but they're both talking about two completely different things.
I think so too.
Half the time when someone talks to me about work-life balance, what they actually mean is like they're applying for a job and they don't want to work too hard. So they're like, before I accept this position, I'm very concerned about work-life balance. And my response is, so you're lazy is what you're saying. You want to make sure you won't have to work too hard or too long and things. Yeah. That's not what everybody means, but sometimes it is.
It's a very tricky line. You know, there's someone that's, okay, on my 40 hours, I'm out, I'm done. But there's days where it's not going to be an 8 hour. It's going to be 9, 10. You have to put in the work if you're passionate about it, which leads me to my question to you. What is your average day time-wise? How do you normally divide?
How much of my day do I spend at work? Or
and how do you divide, your time?
Physically at work, anywhere typically 8 to 10 hours at work. I typically do another hour or so of work at home. But it's hard to subdivide because I might be at home with friends and a topic comes up about work and all of a sudden I'm talking about work.
Well, that's another point too, is should your work or coworkers, should your employees be your friends?
Right.
You know, does that tie into the work-life balance?
Sure.
Is it, because your employees are your friends.
Lots of them, yeah.
Not all of them, you know. There's a line. But...
A number of my friends also work with me.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. But continue what we're talking about.
Well, if someone's saying work-life balance, I don't know what they mean until I ask some clarifying questions. If they're just looking for, oftentimes it's, what's the least amount of work I can do and still be considered a good employee? That's what I want. I want to know how much I have to commit before you think I'm a good employee, and I don't want to do more than that.
Yeah.
For some people, it's about time, but it's not a flat scale. It's a sliding scale. If you're doing a job you hate, your work-life balance looks very different. People are less concerned about that segregation if they enjoy what they do and if they're proud of it.
Okay.
And what does that segregation look like? Is that you get in the car at work, you're no longer at work, you don't think about it again until tomorrow? Some people, that's the way they are. Some people, it just means they don't want to be called at 10 o'clock at night with a question. Some people want a fixed number of hours.
Is that something that happens to you? You get a call late you're at home spending time with your family?
Occasionally. When it's been a particularly difficult day, week, month, whatever, and I'm leaving and people know that, oh my God, thank God this day is over. And then one of the people that knows that texts me about something that's not critical. I'm like, really? I just said, thank God we survived the week. I'm finally at home getting ready to get in the pool with my family. And you're texting me, hey, next week, would it be okay if we, oh my God, I don't want to think about another thing about work. I'm human too.
Yeah.
I love my work. I love doing it. I get excited when people do want to talk about work outside of work because it means they're enthused too.
Yeah.
But there are days.
Well,
everybody has them.
There's sometimes too, I remember we discussed that you spend, whenever you're away from work, you're thinking and you come up with the best ideas sometimes outside of work. So, that might be the same to your other employees.
Yeah, distancing yourself from a problem can help you solve it.
Yeah, so then you're talking about vacations, right? And things like that. So you spent a really long time not going on a vacation.
Almost 10 years.
10 years. And you recently were able to go on a vacation. And you set a boundary where you spent a certain amount of time. You weren't going to get any work. Everything was, going to be put to the side. So how important is having those boundaries?
That's important because the rest of your life needs attention too. And if you're distracted by work all the time, it prevents you from paying it that attention. Part of that thing, part of the vacation disconnect thing is to make sure I'm paying attention to my family, to make sure I'm paying attention to wherever we are and whatever we're doing and not distracted by, oh, I just need to reply to a text real quick. Because it's not a real quick response to a text. It's thinking about an answer, sending a text, thinking about what you sent and whether you covered everything. It lingers. And it just opens the door for it to just continue interrupting. So I'll tell people that, I'll check in once a day at 9 a.m. and after that, just solve it. If it's a big deal, tell me about it in the morning. That's worked a lot better for me because otherwise I'll just keep thinking on the subject. And this allows me to just say, I'm done working for today. So it does create a segregation for me.
Does your family ever get bothered or a bit, upset that you can't spend the time with them?
Of course. Who doesn't? Yeah. Have you ever been in a relationship where the other person wasn't disappointed when they didn't come first? I haven't. No. I'm that way.
Holly,
I get
giggled.
My wife works in my companies.
Yeah.
And when we're in the middle of watching the new episode of Billions and someone texts her and she goes and grabs her laptop, I pause the show and go, really? It's like, she's like, hey, you want committed people? I'm a committed person. And I'm like, yeah, but come on.
Get what you asked for.
Exactly. And it's funny because for years it was the other way around. It's always been me in all of my relationships. It's always me that has the overcommitment to my work or whatever I'm pursuing. So to be on the other side of that was a little bit eye-opening.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think in all my relationships, I've always been more committed to my work, and for me, it's frustrating when someone isn't as committed, because when you have two people that are equally committed, you both know, okay, right now we're going to take the time to focus on our work and then our free time. It makes life so much easier when you have people that think the same way that you do. Well, yeah. Which leads into, you surrounded yourself with people that will accept that work is a priority. How do you explain that to your kids? Someone, they're young, so...
Make it material. For their ages, it's a little bit, they're 6 and 13 now, so it's a little bit different between the age groups. When you make it very material and Alex says, Dad, why do you have to work again? I say, do you like your house?
Yes.
Do you like your PlayStation? Do you like all those things? How do you think we got those things? Work is necessary so that we can have the things we have. That's how we pay for it. With Juliana, she's older now, and I can talk more about commitment, dedication, believing in what you're doing and stuff, and say work isn't punishment. Work is something I do to make myself and us better. It's something I do to leave a lasting impact on people around me. It's something that I do to help people. When we do a big case, the charity case that we did last month, I went home and talked about it with the kids. Look at this. Isn't this cool? Here's this person who didn't have teeth and now they have teeth because we gave them to them. And that's a big deal. So the meaning behind the work, that it's not a curse. It's not a prison sentence. It's something I'm choosing. And to do it at the level I want to do it at, I have to spend more time at it. It's no different than any other pursuit. If someone wants to play basketball with their friends, they can do that in 30 minutes on a Friday. If they want to play in the NBA, it requires an entirely different level of commitment. So it's a question of how important is it for you to excel in that arena. It takes more commitment to excel.
Yeah. So going back to what Kali was explaining, do you think that having a hobby as your work, would that make it easier? Is there like a...
I am similar but different. I have friends who are game testers for computer companies that make computer games, and they test them. And I say, man, you've got the coolest job ever. You play computer games all day. And they go, it sucks because we see everything wrong. Our job is not to enjoy the game. Our job is to find out what's broken in the game, which means we don't just go play. We have all this litany of things we have to experience within the game to make sure it works the way they think it does. We have to run to every border and every corner and make sure you can't get stuck. We have to do all these different things.
You're never going to want to look at the game after you're done with it.
Yep. And I ask, but you get all the inside information. You see it when it's getting built. You know all the secrets. They're like, first of all, half the secrets change when they release it because it's a test version. But second of all, it's no fun by then. I'm ready for the next game. And honestly, it's more work. So I get that. On the other hand, the last two companies, well, 2 out of the last 3 companies I opened were just things I was interested in. It wasn't necessarily something I would do for a job. It was something I was doing for fun. And I said, hey, why don't we turn this into a money-making venture?
The food truck. So opened up a food truck. Jason loves to cook. Great cooking. He's the reason I actually like pulled pork and barbecue now.
That's what I had last night.
Is it? You should have brought me some.
I had barbecue, pork, baked potatoes.
I hated barbecue before you. And then also the mechanic shop, which you're interested in cars. You like cars. You have a nice car. A couple nice cars. But yeah, so does it get, how you were saying, it gets harder whenever...
Yeah, there are things I wouldn't do as a job because I like keeping them just for the fun of it. I wouldn't want to turn them into task-based things. On the other hand, if I don't enjoy what I do, I wouldn't do it. So there's a gray line there, I guess, for me. It's not a solid line between interests and avocation or work.
Because when you're interested in something, you want to take it home with you. You know, what I do, I want to go home and I want to research some more about content making and I want to learn more about it. But then now I'm interrupting my me time, which... but is growing myself considered me time?
I don't know. Is it?
It is for me.
Yeah.
So and it is for you as well.
Right.
So that does pose the very question. Everyone has a different meaning to work-life balance. You know, I think that you can have a demanding career and still have all the extracurricular things that you want to do.
Well, the thing is, what's all? You can't have everything.
Yeah.
I think. Who was the comedian? I think it might have been George Carlin said, you can't have everything. Where would you put it? Or it might have been Robin Williams. But there was a comedy sketch. Well, you can't have everything. Where would you put it? And there's all the jokes, you know. You get a house to fill it up with stuff. But once it's full, you need a new house. So you get a new house and you fill that up with stuff. So it's a question of what's your capacity and what's your want. If you want a career that you move through quickly or that you excel at or that you rise to the top of a profession, I don't know anybody that does that without being more committed than a standard 9-to-5 job. They're two different things.
I think it's a mentality that's kind of instilled in us when we're kids. It's, you know, you can have it all. Like you can do what you want. Like you can become president and you can, but there are things that you're going to have to say no to.
Exactly.
And there are things that you're going to have to sacrifice. Which that plays into your work-life balance.
Well, and I hate balance because it's always, you think of balance, you think of scales, you think of a teeter-totter, right?
Yeah.
Which means it's even on both sides. Well, you slide the fulcrum over in lots of things. You can say, for me, balance isn't 50-50. For me, balance is 70-30, and I'm perfectly happy at that.
It's so unrealistic. If it's never going to be like that.
Well, yeah. Do you know anyone who has a life in perfect balance?
No.
How could you?
And if we do, can we get them on the show?
Sure, they'd be very boring.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, where's Van?
No.
You need someone who can operate with total logic if you're going to create perfect balance, because your attitudes shift and things spark your interest.
Yeah.
So when people talk about work-life balance, it's not balance. It's what are you comfortable with? What's your comfort level with your commitment to career versus everything else in your life? But it's not everything else. Your career is part of your life.
It is.
So how do you say work-life balance when work is part of your life? It's bullshit. They're putting it in opposition when they say it usually. Like work or life.
Yeah.
Which one do you want?
Yeah. You can't have a demanding career. You can't be a doctor and also have kids, or you can't, you can't own businesses and be married and go on vacations. You can.
Of course you can.
You just have to be able to say no to some things. Which...
You have to be smart about it.
Exactly.
And depending on the nature of your job, you might have to do it in different methods, different portions.
Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur and your business is taking off, you might not take vacation that year because it might mean that this year is the year that I can transform the business and have a whole lot more freedom 2 or 3 years from now. Or I can continue to work 40 hours a week at it and it will plateau. It'll never be more than it is right now. When you have those opportunities, you want to leverage them. That means you give up other things. You decide how long you're willing to give up other things based on the return you're trying to get out of it. That's the balance.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I got from our last episode was, is there a bigger yes? In that instance, is your bigger yes having a successful business that's going to skyrocket and you're going to make sales? That's your bigger yes. So you have to say no to, okay, I'm not going to have a kid this year. I'm not going to do these things. You can't have it all at once, and everything comes in time. Yeah. Timing is everything.
People just get hard-headed about this kind of a concept. They're like, well, why can't I have a career and a family? You can. But how much effort you put into your career is going to control how your career goes. And how much effort you put into your family is going to determine how the family goes. Yeah. You have to figure out how to portion that out in a way that gets you the things you want. And you can't have it all.
It's honesty with yourself.
Sure.
Because you might want to go to Bali Bali. That could be your dream. But can you do that? If you go, you take 10 days off of work, you're going to come back and you missed out on so much. So you have to be so honest with yourself. And I think that's...
Is Bali Bali a place?
Bali Bali, yeah.
Is it Bora Bora or Bali?
What is
it's just Bali?
I don't know.
And Bora Bora.
You failed geography today.
I did.
Holy cow.
I'm so good at geography. I have the best.
I don't think so.
I want to go into transparency.
Okay.
And being successful, having work and your life, and what can you in your job as the president, as the owner of a company, what can you say to your employees? Is there a line there? Because you're a very transparent person. You are what you get. You get what you get with you.
Yep. Yeah, I've got a new executive assistant.
Yes.
Who is someone that we met socially first. Yes. And at the end of his first day working directly with me, he went to the head of HR to say what a great day he'd had. And she said, how was it interacting with Jason at work? He said, exactly the same as interacting with him outside of work. There's like no difference except that he's got work things he's doing instead of recreational things he's doing. Which I take as a good sign, because I always say that. I say, I'm the same person wherever you find me.
You don't believe it until you see it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened with me. When I first met you and I first started working at the lab, I was like, oh, that's such a lie. Like, there's no way he's the same. And then I got the chance to, go over to your house, and socially, exact same. I think the only difference is you're running around in the lab trying to like figure a case something. And at your house, you're running around trying to get everyone's drinks ready. You're still running around crazy busy, but
I'm still active. I'm still high intensity, but
gotta
then
get
it's
those steps in.
Yeah, getting my steps in. I'm high intensity, making sure everybody's having a good time. Whereas at work, I'm high intensity, making sure everything's going right.
Yeah.
So, no, there's not a lot. I mean, I may temper my speech a little bit when I'm at work, just for the sake of clarity and professionalism. But I mean, I swear at work. I yell at work. I don't particularly worry about people figuring things out about me socially versus professionally. There's lots of odd things about my personality, lots of odd things about my life, my lifestyles, and everybody does. Everybody's got oddities about themselves and how they live their personal life. And I've always thought it was interesting when it comes to light that someone's got this double life kind of thing. And I said, I'm never going to be that person. Someone's going to discover something about me and go, aha, guess what I found out about Jason? And 100 people are going to go, yeah, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of an open book as far as that stuff goes. Because I also don't want people to use something against me. If there's some, oddity or something about my personal life that's weird, and someone finds out that I've been keeping it hidden, well, then they could use it against me.
Yep.
I'm like, nope, I'm an open book. I mean, you may not like what you find, but go ahead and look.
And people know not to get into business with you or not to work for you if they don't, support that. And that's completely fine. But I think the problem is that some people put up masks. How exhausting is it for some people, they clock in, it's 9 a.m. and I'm this, person and I'm just so focused and it's me, and then a fake persona, and then at 5 I am super fun and going out for drink,
right?
It's just not, it's exhausting. So I think that sometimes people don't have the best work-life balance because they're not open to just sharing who they are.
They're not themselves all day.
They're not themselves,
They're spending 8-10 hours a day pretending to be someone else, and that is tiring. So then what is work-life balance? Well, it's between my dual identities. Yeah. Well, yeah, that would get tiring.
Yeah. It is difficult, though. I would say so, if you're working for a government job and, you can't.
Well, sure.
But then that's your choice, too. That's going back to what is your bigger yes? What is your bigger? Do you want to act like that? Because then now you do have to. That is your work-life balance. That's how you're gonna have to be. Your scale is gonna be like what?
Unbalanced.
30, 70.
Yep.
So Batman and Superman have those masks, those secret identities.
Sure do.
You guys think that they're like, man, I just need a vacation?
No.
No.
Because the masks are just to conceal for the sake of protecting others.
Yeah.
Whether it's the movies or the comics, you always see the alter ego takes a backseat. No one says, Bruce Wayne is sometimes Batman. He's Batman.
He's Batman.
And sometimes he has to be Bruce Wayne for a while to keep up appearances. And, Superman has to put on glasses and go do some reporter stuff for a little while so no one catches on that it's really just a misdirect for most of it. But also, those people go without sleep and go without work and go without all kinds of things all the time because they're superheroes. Yeah. There was a Star Trek movie, Insurrection, one of the not-so-great ones, but it was a Next Generation movie. And at the end of it, Captain Picard has a new love interest, and she says, that she's going to miss him because he's getting ready to leave her planet. And he says, well, I do have 318 days of shore leave saved up. He says, and I intend to use them. And it's like, it was a joke. It's like, oh, how overcommitted is this guy? It's all about his career. That's all it's been for decades kind of thing to build that up. And it's tongue-in-cheek, but it is representative of high achievers.
Yeah.
Most high achievers overcommit for some period of time. Even people that now talk about how they spend so much time with their families, they didn't at one point. They got to that point by overcommitting for a period of time so that they could reap those rewards.
Yeah. And you have, like how we said before, you have to find people that think the same way.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, she had her boyfriend that was he was a businessman. He really wanted to work, and they just didn't work out because she wanted to, spend every day together, every night together, and he just couldn't do that. So you have to find.
It's all about matched priorities.
Exactly.
And no two people are going to be perfectly matched.
No.
That's where communication in a relationship comes in. Is look, I'm not saying I devalue you. I value you. And these are conversations I've had with my family before where there's a conflict of they want something socially, but I'm committed to something professionally. And, you have arguments and you say, don't you value our time together? Don't you value me? And we came to an understanding that the priority I place on the business is also for the family. It's not just for me. That the priority I place on the business that feeds the family, etc. Now, I could go get a job at McDonald's. I could go get a job someplace and work 40 hours a week and make enough money to feed my family. But to have the lifestyle that we have requires a higher level of commitment. And I have adjusted it as the kids have started to need more attention and stuff. When I didn't have kids, I worked 120-hour weeks sometimes. I don't do that now.
Well, even before you had a family, you were telling me a story about how you slept in the lab one day.
Bought a cot because there was so much work to do. I'm like, I don't want to waste time commuting. I'm just going to sleep here in the back room.
That's commitment right there.
Well, just that you have those fights and you come to an agreement about what your priorities are. My family knows that I'm not just working for my own enrichment or my own ego. I'm also working to make sure that they are financially secure no matter what, whether I'm here or not. Making sure that they have all of the things they might need based upon any possible set of circumstances. So, and they respect that. They're like, nah, Dad's out there conquering the world for us, kind of thing.
It's inspirational for them.
Hopefully.
I think so.
And my dad worked a lot of hours. And at the time when I was a kid, of course, I begrudged some of it, but not much, because my dad always made time for me, no matter how busy he was. It made me prize the time with him more. I never sat and watched TV with my dad. Once a week, Star Trek on Saturday nights. I never sat and watched TV with my dad. If my dad and I were doing something, we were doing something. We were having a snowball fight. We were building a fort. We were doing something because there wasn't that much time that we had together. So I made the most of it when I had it, which I think was a good thing.
Yeah, I think if you are going to go that route and you're going to be overly committed to your work, then the time that you do spend with your family, the time you spend with your loved ones or yourself, make that valuable time. Don't just waste it.
Yep. I learned from him that working hard was okay if you had a good reason for it. And I always knew my dad was working for me. My mom reinforced it. I always knew. Dad isn't at work because he doesn't want to be here. Dad's at work because he wants to make sure you're taken care of and that we don't want for things.
What is a superhero or a character that you look up to that you say, like, they have it all? Like, not all, but can't have it all.
Iron Man's the cliche. He's always my favorite first answer for most superhero questions. But in the first Iron Man movie.
Every time someone talks about Iron Man, it hurts my heart.
In the first Iron Man movie, there's when he realizes that there's a lot of bad things going on that he needs to deal with. Gwyneth Paltrow Pepper is coming over to him and talking about things that are not Iron Man things. They are Stark Industries things and her things. And he's like, look, there's nothing else. There's no art opening. There is no signing. There is no gallery. There's no this. There's no that. There's only the next mission and stuff. And she's taken aback by his obsession with doing this. But it was open. It was honest. He told her, right now, I don't care about anything else. This is all I care about. And that is unbalanced. On the other hand, he saved the world 6 or 8 times. So there's probably a value to the unbalance. But you watch his story arc in the movies, and it changes. When you get to the last movie, the other heroes come to him for help, and he says no. He says, I will not give up what I have. I worked too hard to get to this point. I gave up too much. Now I can't give this up. I'll help if it doesn't mean I have to give this up. He changed where his fulcrum was, and even to the very end, he was willing to sacrifice himself, but not the other people that had come to mean so much.
I think for me, it's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Especially Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Oh, God.
I know. But I think I can relate right now, currently. It's like you have to be able to give up certain parts of your life for the better. He wants to be Spider-Man. He knows he can save the world, and he knows his calling. But that means that he's not going to be able to have his friends right now. He's not going to be able to be while they're all on the field trip, he can't go there. He has to go save a flying bus that's gonna, crash, and people are. So it's right now. I have a goal, and I have to be able to say no to other things. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why I really.
The other trick about this nonsense about work-life balance is it's all choices. Yeah. You're not victimized. No one comes to your house, hits you with a club, and drags you off to be an employee somewhere.
If they do, please inform someone.
I think that's just called slavery.
Yeah. So that's not work-life balance. So when people talk about these kinds of things, they often play the victim. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I just don't have good work-life balance because of my job. Yeah. Well, who picked your job?
You did.
So it's about personal responsibility at the end. Everything is.
Everything is.
You picked something that requires a higher level of commitment than you want to give based upon the other priorities in your life. Mm-hmm. Pick something else. Yeah. If your driving desire is not to excel in some kind of a career, if your desire for a career is just so you can pay your bills, you don't need a high-performing career. You need something that generates enough value that you can pay your bills and your energy can go elsewhere. And you can have unbalanced the other way. You can have 80-20, personal life versus work life. Yeah. The thing is, people want it all. They've been, especially, the last 20, 30 years, people have been lied to. Yeah. They're told you can have it. You can't have it all.
You can't.
You can have anything, but you can't have everything. Mm-hmm. And these people, I want to work 18 hours a week and I want to get raises every 3 months. Well, good luck with that. Yeah. Yeah, you can want.
If you find somewhere, let us all know.
And sure, there might be one-off things like that. Yeah. But the general rule is the harder you work, the more you get. Yeah. It's really straightforward, and people are always looking for the shortcut. Mm-hmm. Work smarter, not harder. Obviously, don't work harder than you have to if there are smarter ways to do things. Mm-hmm. But most people try to substitute cleverness or intelligence for hard work. It's not a substitute. Hard work in and of itself makes you better. Mm-hmm. So if you try to get out of hard work by being clever or taking shortcuts or whatever, you're actually shortchanging yourself. Mm-hmm. You will not generate the kind of results you want because you're not making yourself into the kind of person that gets those kinds of results.
And don't critique what other people do. Like how you were saying, no one's going to go to your house and beat you up. If someone wants to be at home, a stay-at-home mom, and that's what their work-life balance is, then that's what they want to do. And don't compare. I think that's the problem as well, how you're saying people are being lied to. People also compare. It's really easy for, let's say, for you to look at, another family and you see them like out on vacations and you're like, oh no, like I want to do that all the time, but that's not your life.
Right.
Your life is here.
We've had lots of friends who have lifestyles that are what they want. Mm-hmm. They have a very average home, drive a very average car, have a very average job, and go on vacation every 3 months because they get 4 weeks of vacation a year. Yeah. And don't really worry about work when they're at home. Work is for when they're at work and home is for when they're at home. And I get that. That's not what I would choose. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they're lazy or weak or stupid or any of those things. That's choice. That's what you wanted. That's what you got. I wouldn't be happy with that. I wouldn't be happy with a career that doesn't make a difference, that isn't making an impact, that isn't changing things around me. I wouldn't be happy just going in, punching a clock, doing a task for 8 hours, punching the clock again and leaving. Mm-hmm. That would be very unfulfilling to me. Mm-hmm. Now, those people may be doing that almost like a prison sentence. They do that so they have the money to have the life, but I would be unenthused with that. Yeah. For me, I need to be making a difference, and when I make a difference, I tend to increase my value. Mm-hmm. And as my value increases, I have nicer things. We've said before, the nice things I have, I didn't do a job to buy a big house. Yeah. I did things I thought mattered in ways I thought were the right way to do them and impacted people as much as I could. And the result was there was money for me to have some things. Mm-hmm. And that's how it went. There was never an objective of, I want to buy that house over there.
Your 7 course, that 7 habits course that you do, you started it out by saying why. Like, why are you here? Yeah. What's the reason? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really good way to live then. It's like, why do you want to do that? You want to do that because you want more money, or you want to do this because it's what you want to do, or you want to do this. So it's a really good way to figure out where you are in that scale. Yeah. Yeah.
If you do things in a transactional way, you're always keeping score of the transaction itself. If you're doing things from a deeper why, because I want to do this, because I think it's the right thing to do, because I like the impact I have on people, then you don't keep score the same way. You almost, it's kind of like you look up at the scoreboard after having a great game and go, oh man, we won, we killed it. You weren't watching every goal. You weren't watching every shot. You were just fully immersed in the game for its own sake and did very well as a result. That's far more common.
I want to ask a question from one of our audience members. They asked you, how do you own a business and find the time for yourself? So we're not talking about your family, we're talking about you.
Sometimes I don't. It's been on my mind lately that I need a little bit of time for just me somewhere in here. We've talked about, both at work and at home, that maybe I should just go stay someplace for a couple of days. Just me. Just go to a hotel and order room service and watch TV and do nothing for a couple of days just to get everything out of my mind. Generally, I think of my planning sessions like that, it's for work, but it's for me. It's for me to put order to my life at work. There are a lot of things I sacrifice for myself, but I want to. I'm not tricked. I'm not victimized by it. I look and say, I wish I could, but I can't. Because I made these choices.
It's your choice.
It's my choice. There are things, I used to love the immersive computer games. When I worked for other people, I didn't feel enough fulfillment in my career. And I'd fill that niche by accomplishing things in like online computer games. I'd be at the top of the leaderboards or in the biggest guild or killed the dragon faster than somebody else, these kinds of things. and I'd get some measure of satisfaction from being a high-performing gamer. And that was cool. And sometimes I miss it. Sometimes on a Friday I go, if this was 15 years ago, I would be heading back to my apartment to lock the door with 2 2-liter Mountain Dews and 2 Domino's pizzas.
Wow.
And I'd be sitting down in front of the computer until
That's a
my
nice
eyes
night,
closed.
Yeah.
And I'll think about that. I'm like, that was kind of cool. Like I would just lock my door. I wouldn't come out till Monday when it was time for work again. And not all the time, but there were times that I did that. And I had a great time doing that. So there are times that I think, I'd really like to play that game, but to play that game well requires a time commitment that I can't put into it. So I won't even play that one at all, even though it looks really cool and fun. I'll play these ones that I can do in small bits and pieces, 20 minutes here and there. And, I'll play like Magic the Gathering online. And that's cool because you can have a match in 5 minutes and go back to something else. Or if it ends up you've got half an hour and you only thought you had 15 minutes between 2 things, you can keep playing 2 more matches kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't get into the immersive, the online games like I used to, like EverQuest and those kinds of games where you might log on and not log off for 12 hours.
If you did that, I don't know what would happen. Like, where's Jason?
Where did he go?
Where did Jason go?
He's in his cave gaming.
Yeah. And once in a while, like it'll happen when I'm in the house by myself. Once in a while, maybe Alicia's taking the kids and going shopping or something. I'm in the house by myself and I go, well, I could go get on that game for the next 14 hours. Oh, wait, they're going to be back in an hour. No, I can't do that.
Tempting you.
Yeah, it is. And it's one of those things. It's like, so if I was to retire for a week, because that's about the longest I could retire for.
You did tell me this. You said when you want to retire, you're just going to do something else.
Yep. Maybe if I retired for a week, I'd pick up one of those games and just play it for 40 hours straight and then go do another company or something. But I think about those kinds of things sometimes. And I go, I kind of miss that. But then I look around. Yeah. But I don't miss not being a dad. I don't miss not being married. I don't miss any of these other things. I go, yeah, you pick. Yeah. You pick what you want and when you want it, and don't second guess.
Yeah, and it's human for you to feel that too, to feel the miss, to feel like, oh, I missed my old life. It's not an old life. You just evolved, you know?
Well, the reality is we grow in responsibility.
Yeah.
It's like You get in the workforce and you look at your friends who are still in college and go, oh my God, you guys could screw off and do whatever and it would be fine. There are no consequences. But
Story of my life right now.
But when you were in college,
yeah.
you looked at high school and went, oh my God, you guys could do anything and it wouldn't matter. Once you're in college, it gets serious. And it keeps going. You go all the way back to, you know, when you're in third grade looking at your little sibling that's 3 years younger that hasn't started school yet. God, you got the life. You don't have to do anything. You do that your entire life and then it flips. You start to retire and things and you go, well, he's got the life. He retired. Now he just golfs all day. Man, he's got it. Everybody's got this perception that it was better or it's going to be better. Make it better now. Be better. Be happy with where you're at. It's a choice.
But do you feel that you can better or improve anything right now to your own personal like work-life balance, how you define that? Is there anything that you can improve yourself?
Is that a trick question? Yes, there's always something I can make better. Right now, with so many new things spinning up with the new product lines and we've got the new inventions and some new patents and stuff that are all happening at the same time. And it's requiring me to wear a lot of hats again constantly, just run from thing to thing to thing. I need to start handing those things off. Brian just came down from the other location for a few weeks to help the progress in one of those ventures because, no, we need a little more horsepower. We need a little bit more control. We need someone besides me who can walk through the room and go, move that, change that, that's wrong, and get over here and I'll show you something. With it being just me, it wasn't enough because I'm spread too thin. So one of the biggest things is finding more people that I can plug in like that to different specialty situations. Developing better ways to communicate with people. I'm never satisfied with the level of communication and knowing that someone else knows what I'm looking for. You tell someone, hey, can you make me a thing? That's not what I meant. It doesn't matter if it's a sandwich or a website or a bench. It doesn't matter. I always get something and go, I didn't explain it well enough. There was a better way to get the point across or to cover the details.
It's not efficient because then you have to explain yourself
then you
again.
Revisit it.
Yeah, frustrated and just doesn't.
So I'm constantly looking at how do we better communicate with each other so everybody's on the same page. And I do need to figure out those break points where I can take a breath because it's a little bit like swimming underwater. You can only hold your breath for so long before you need to come up for air. And when you come up for air, you're not moving forward, you're moving up. So you move up for air and then you start swimming forward again. It's a pause. If you time that right, you make the most of it. If you time it wrong, you're pausing more than you're moving.
When's the last time you have gone up for air, would you say?
Last month. Yeah. We went to Cancun and made it a slightly longer trip and made it a slightly fancier trip. Stayed in, what was it called? Not the penthouse.
Yes.
Stayed in the penthouse, went out on a yacht, did all the things that are just like the ultimate expression of that particular venue. And I'd been there before and enjoyed it. But now I said, no, I want whatever's the best of everything one time. I want to just experience that, which helped me stay in the moment, stay present, and not get distracted because it was a lot of new experiences and a lot of very elite experiences that you want to make the most of. It's like a really great meal. You want to enjoy every bite. You don't want to be distracted by things.
Did you, when you guys were on your vacation, did work ever like come up between you and Alicia?
Briefly.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing is, so when we're at home, sometimes work will come up spontaneously or because someone texted or she just remembered something about the day that she forgot to tell me. And it feels like an interruption sometimes. When you get away a little bit, you can just talk. And you don't feel like your time is being stolen. It's like, hey, you okay if we talk about this? Yeah, let's talk about that. And then it's free form. It's more communication and connection rather than interruption.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, I'm not right now. Like, we're doing this. Let's talk about it later.
Yeah. And it's always about time. We only have so much time. We've only got an hour and a half before the kids go to bed. Or we've only got an hour and a half since the kids went to bed before we're going to be unconscious. So we've got to make the most out of each facet of that. When you have more time, like on vacation, I also like it sometimes when we're in the car. we're traveling somewhere. We're already accomplishing something. We're getting from point A to point B. What else during that time? Do we just want to listen to music? Do we want to talk about something in our personal lives, our social lives, the work life, the kids? And you can pick a topic and not feel like the time is being stolen from you because you're not putting anything else on hold to do it. You're driving anyway. Same thing when we're on a plane. Lots of times on a plane, we'll just tune each other out. I'm doing something on my tablet and she's watching a movie or something. And other times we'll just start talking and just have plenty of time to talk through something.
As a business owner, and you're a very hands-on owner, so you interact with everyone in your company. Do you ever find it hard to deal with other people's work and life balance?
Is this another one of those trick questions? Constantly.
Yeah.
And it's about alignment. When people are not as committed as I think they should be, and I don't know why, it bugs me.
So how do you have that conversation? Is it just finding out what's going on?
Usually I just ask.
Okay.
I say, hey, just you tell me how high you want to rise in this organization is going to be directly proportional to how you perform. How you perform is going to be directly tied to your presence in the building, mentally, physically, emotionally. If you're all in, you will move up quickly and people will pick you. They'll tap you for things. People see that. When we've got a person that's high performing, everybody notices. They ask for them. Like, oh, can that guy be assigned to my room? You get that. People are fighting over an individual. So they stand out. The people that aren't committed like that don't stand out. So it impacts their ability to move up quickly. If they don't care about that, then I'm not worried about it. And that's usually what I ask.
Yeah.
What is this job to you? If this is your 9 to 5, how I pay my rent, I understand. And I'm going to treat you that way. I'm not going to try and engage with you for higher level conversations or new opportunities or things like that. I'm going to evaluate your work and how you do, and you will progress. But it's a different progression track than a person who is all in. So it's harder for me with those people because I'm an extremist. I'm always all in. So I start talking and see their eyes glaze over, and I'm like, this isn't a connection for this person. I need to have this kind of conversation with him, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that does make sense. It's just you wish you could just like clone 10 million of you?
Yeah.
In that way, like
doesn't everybody?
The same.
Don't you wish you could just talk to yourself all the time?
No.
Sometimes it's scary. Yeah. No, I wish I could explain the underpinning, the philosophy behind it to people in a way that made sense so they could just choose. And they could understand that choosing isn't punishing. They could just, I wish there was like a little checklist. I go, or check boxes. You pick your level of commitment, and here's what that looks like. And they can say, I want to be a paycheck player. I want to come in and punch in and do my work and go home. I want you to appreciate the work I do. I want to appreciate having a good place to do this work. And that's all transactional. I want to run this place one day. I'm going to do everything it takes to move myself forward, to learn, to grow, to do all these kinds of things. Anything you want to throw at me, gimme. I'll take it all on. And everything in between, so that people could actually identify their level of commitment for themselves and for me.
I'm going to give you a scenario, and I want you to tell me what your advice would be to this person.
Okay.
So let's say we have a single mom. She has 2 kids, and they're still young. They're still in school. She's working more than 40 hours a week to pay for everything because she's a single mom. Maybe she's taking classes when the kids are going to bed and, but she wants to grow and she wants to not be stuck in the paycheck to paycheck mindset. And she wants to do it for her kids, for herself. And she just can't find the time to do it all. What advice would you give to someone like that in a similar situation where they feel like they don't have the time?
Where do they work? Because it's a different answer if they work here or work in one of my organizations versus other places.
Okay, let's do both. Let's say someone that works in your organization and someone that works at a office, just a dental, like a receptionist.
Okay. Someone that works for me, I want them to tell me. I want them to come and explain the situation and what they're hoping to get to. And then we can figure out a path together. There's a ton of things that I could give people that I could say, okay, you want to advance yourself, but you can only be here for so many hours because you need to be with your kids. There are limits to your schedule because you can only drop them off at a certain time, pick them up at a certain time, only have certain coverage, certain days. There's all kinds of limitations there that are completely understandable. And if I understand them too, then I can figure out how to work things. Maybe this is a thing where they're taking courses after the kids go to bed for what?
Yeah.
Oh, well, because I want to better myself. Into what? Well, I figure once I have an associate's, nah. No, you're just following some arbitrary path. It's not actually getting you anywhere. You want to move up? You want to move up here? There are all kinds of things you can do by remote after the kids go to bed. We can give you accounting work. We can give you a lot of tracking, metrics, reports. If you work on some other task, if you work on design, if you work on writing, if you work in marketing, there's all kinds of things that can be done at any time of day. So you tell me you really want to move up, you want to be more committed? Okay, commit more. Well, I can't because now we're stuck.
Yeah.
As soon as you say I can't, I'm stuck. You tell me you're flexible, I'll tell you I'm flexible.
When the buts come in, that's when the problem. Oh.
Yeah. So a person like that, I would need to understand their situation. But like you said, taking classes after the kids go to bed. Okay, instead of that, do a couple hours of accounting work after the kids go to bed. Find out if we're actually doing as well in a certain new area as we think we are. Do research. See what other companies are doing with this product line. See what competitors are charging. Do some market research. Go read some editorials or some journal articles to look for opportunities that we can use with a new product, with a new piece of equipment, with a new line. There's all kinds of things like that, very free-form things that someone could do that would add value. And if they add value, they're worth more. Yeah. So this person could be moving up. Maybe it's this person's plan. Maybe their kids are in high school. And they know in 5 years their kids are not going to be as dependent and their life situation is going to change. They could spend that time developing a skill set that I could help show them, where when the time comes that they are now able to change their schedule and do things according to their own needs instead of their kids' needs, that they could step right into something, that they could spend 4 years preparing for a senior level position, doing all that groundwork at night, so that they could learn everything behind something and then take it over as soon as their schedule allows them to work like that. Yeah. There's all kinds of opportunities like that.
What if they're not lucky enough to be?
Depends on their employer.
Yeah.
I would say, number one, improving yourself is improving yourself, but be sure that you've got a destination in mind. The just taking college courses at night is a big misdirect. You have to have a destination. I'm learning so I can do this job. We interviewed for technology positions, and hundreds of applicants came in with no experience. You know, they'd taken web design in school. They had taken development in school. They had done this. They had done that. They had certificates. They had no experience. Without experience, I don't have the proof that they can do the job so that I can make a good decision about hiring them. Because I'm looking for a specialist because I need someone that knows what they're doing. That all I have to teach them is about our industry so they can apply it. If I've got to bring them in not sure if they can do the job well, I'm screwed because I don't know how to do that job well. I need someone that comes in as a subject matter expert who just needs to learn our fields. So these people getting all these certifications and degrees in these very soft things like development. If you're not a hardcore developer, there's not a lot out there. You're very limited in your options. If you just graduated with a bachelor's in computer science, so did a million other people this year. There's just not enough out there to make use of it. You've got to have a real destination.
Yeah, what I was always taught when I had to start looking for, my career jobs was, okay, if they have someone that just graduated with the same degree that they did and they have like 3 internships where they have actual experience, what makes you think that they're going to go with you?
Right.
They're going to go with the other person.
Obviously.
So,
and even that, internships get you exposed. They don't necessarily get you skilled. They might. Depends on the internship.
Yeah.
But again, now you're trying to split hairs versus someone who's been doing the job for 5 years and is developed.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. How are you even going to compare to that? So there's just a lot of that kind of thing. You really need to look at what you're developing yourself for, what you're preparing for.
Makes sense. Yeah. What about when life because life is life. Life gets hard sometimes, and things happen, and personal, situations go on. How would you say if someone's going through a tough time and that's affecting their work, and then their work-life balance is thrown off? You are very good at like just staying on track, and you're an emotional person, but you don't show it. I feel like for myself, I'm a very sensitive person, and I show it, and sometimes things tend to dip into my work, which is a very bad characteristic on what I think. I don't like that about myself. What advice do you have for someone that is going through something like that?
Where life creeps in and messes with their work?
Yeah.
Same thing. Speak up. Number one, don't let people misunderstand that you just don't care about your job anymore. If your boss thinks you don't care about your job, why should they care about you?
Yeah.
So you need to speak up and collaborate. Again, if someone works for me and comes to me and says, I'm going through something right now, it's transitory, but it's affecting me. I'm trying not to let it, but it is. I'm going to say, you tell me how private a thing this is. The more I understand about it, the more I might be able to help. And if I don't know what the problem is, or don't know that there is a problem, I'm left to make up my own answer.
Yeah.
My own answer is probably going to be, I guess this person doesn't like it here.
Yeah.
Or doesn't want to do this kind of work.
You can't read someone's mind.
So unless I know what the deal is, I'm going to make up something that'll probably be wrong. So I would much rather the person come and talk to me, because I also want to be able to assess how transitory it really is. When someone says, my entire family just moved to Chicago and I'm lonely, that might be transitory. Or that might mean they're moving to Chicago pretty soon to be with the rest of their family because they've always been with them. But also, if it's transitory, how long? If I know you're just had a death in the family and you're going to be in a different place for the next week or two, I can understand that, and we can figure that out. Maybe you don't work on something quite so critical. We don't do any high-intensity projects this week.
Yeah.
Why don't you just do some basic maintenance type stuff on your position? Tie up loose ends, take it easy. Let's downgrade the intensity of the position for a week or two to give you time to get your wind back and stuff. That's life. Or maybe I have a solution. We had someone that said that they were going to have to quit because of their car. They had one car between them and their spouse, and it was on its last legs. And they said, I'm not going to be able to keep working because we can't afford a new car, and he has to take it to work, and I don't have a way to get to work, blah, blah, blah. And I said, that's not a stopper. That's a problem. How can we work out this problem? And we worked it out. We had a delivery vehicle that we weren't using and agreed to sell it to that person. And I held the paper, I maintained the note on it, and they made payments to me at a number that was very small and manageable at their rate of pay, because I knew how much they made, where they could do that so they could focus on work, and started doing better and started making more money. And the car payment became almost a non-issue at that point because they were making more money now. And it was, we worked together to come up with a solution that helped both of us.
If there's no communication, then, and almost all problems do have solutions if you just talk it out.
Yep.
And that just seems to me like that's our tie-in is communication. I think if you communicate that you want to have a more personal life and you want to be more at home, and communicate that to your work, or if you want vice versa. Do you have any more advice for all the viewers out there that you want to leave them on?
If you talk about work-life balance, define what you really mean.
Yeah.
Don't just say work-life balance, because everybody interprets it however they want.
Jason's very big on meanings.
Words mean things.
Words mean things. Speaking of words and meanings, what shirt are you wearing today, Jason?
What's today? Moving forward.
Keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward. Yep. This one's Till Valhalla Project. You know what that is?
Yes. You explained this to me before.
Good.
Yeah.
And you remember.
I did.
What is it?
It's an organization that helps military, right?
Close, yeah.
Yeah. And he makes those shirts, and it's all the proceeds go to that organ.
Yeah. Some of the things they do is like fallen soldiers' graves.
Okay.
That don't get maintained. They'll go and maintain them with the proceeds. They do a bunch of really cool things. You should check them out.
It'll be on our website.
Hey, we should put a link up on our website.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
It's not telekinesis.
No, it's not telepathic either.
Okay. Anyways, I don't know my superpowers, clearly.
Obviously.
Obviously, I need to have a course. Can we do a course on that?
Sure.
Okay, can that be our next one? All right. Make sure to tune in to our next episode. We are going to be talking about doldrums.
Doldrums.
We have a lot.
Not bongos.
Not bongos.
Doldrums.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason.
Bali Bali.
I'm going to go to Bali Bali next week, and then I'll come back, and I'm going to look so tan. I'm actually going to Costa Rica next week, Jason.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Yeah, what?
You're like already there.
Guys, no. Okay. Anyways, thank you, Jason. Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Collie. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in our YouTube channel or in our email, anewdayanewshirt@gmail.com. Our website is going to come up soon. We're going to have a whole lot of fun content, movies, books, extra sneak peeks, bloopers, me messing up all the time. So yeah, make sure to check it out. Thank you.
Thank you.